Hello, hello, my green skins. And today we're going to be talking about a classic, in my opinion, and the last breath of the 80s. I know a lot of people are like, well, it's this movie, well, it's that movie. No, 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 no. I mean, this movie is literally the end of the 80s in a nutshell. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And it is so fucking 80s, it's not even funny. As a car goes by, hopefully that didn't pick up. People in their hot rods. So, what can I say about the 80s in this movie? This is so valley, hysterically funny, and over the fucking top. It's great. It's absolutely great in some ways. And we're going to have some fun with it. And I'm going to have a little fun with this one. This one will be quite fun. You guys voted for this movie, so here's the review for it. Let's first start out with the acting. The acting in this movie is both equally good and bad. That's the best way to put it. This movie has some of the best, worst acting. If you're just here to watch, a fun movie with some over-the-top, enjoyable kind of like thing, like this movie has great acting. But the acting in it is also equally so fucking awful. It's all over the place. I kind of like it, and I kind of don't like it in that way. But it's one of those movies where it's the 80s, asshole. Just go with it. First off, our lead cast is Alex Winter as Bill S. Preston, who unfortunately acted really good in this movie, but is sadly... I don't see him do much very often anymore. Keanu Reeves as Ted. Ted Logan, Theodore Logan. He is good in this movie, but this is where a lot of people say he's an airhead. He plays an airhead. All his characters are airheads. I'm like, yeah. The problem with Keanu Reeves I can't unlike Keanu Reeves because he is a fucking true humanitarian, and seems to be a really chill and awesome guy. Last is George Carlin. The man I would always buy as Rufus. The man I would always buy a beer for. Because this guy is amazing. And in this movie, it's funny. He's really good. But at the same time, he doesn't do much. Last but not least, we have the whole crew. You got yourself all the people the historical figures. And all the side actors. Each one of them does such a good fucking job and is so solid in this and have their good energies. It works. It works really well. And that's the best way to put it. And our lead cast works because they work off all these people. And some of them just do a great job. And I know some of them had some good career. Some of them didn't. But, I mean, two of them I can think of is the actress who played Joan of Arc and the actress who, the actor that played Genghis Khan, because he's in fucking everything. He is literally everything in the 80s. He was that martial art guy they always had something to do with. And it's really well done. So, again, if you're willing to say, just go with it, it's the 80s, it works. Next, we're going to talk about the music. So, again, whimsy music, kind of cheesy, then amazing soundtrack. Then whimsy music, kind of cheesy, then amazing soundtrack. That is literally this movie. This movie has some of the greatest 80s songs of that era, and then equally some of the most like cheesy whimsy music. That's pretty much this movie. A lot of cheese, a lot of personal, like all over the place fun. And I kind of like it for that. And that's kind of how this music, like, there's some great music in here. A lot of band names. The reason I picked these three for the Death Battle, for the buddy movies, is because each one of them has their own energy about them and are literally set in that era and have this total fun. And that's why the music in this is perfect for this. And the music in this is absolutely fucking perfect and really enjoyable. So let's break down the story. The story. The history of Bill and Ted and their excellent adventure. In the far, far future, George Carlin is talking about the people who unite the world with their music, the Wild Stallions. By the way, I like that name. I haven't heard that often, but I love the name. So he goes back in time with the I guess the Council of Rock, and the Council of Rock send him back in time to meet up with our two heroes, Bill and Ted. Upon them meeting up, they end up traveling history, which has them first drop off to meet up with Napoleon. And Napoleon accidentally gets caught in the time stream when they go back to the future. And when they go back to the future, they now have Napoleon. Well, Bill and Ted get the idea of, hey, we got this historical figure. Let's make Sid Meier's Civilization. No, I'm just kidding. What they actually try to do is they have to worry about a book report. And if they don't get this historical book report that they have to do on stage, which, by the way, that's brutal. I can't believe a teacher actually did that, but that is kind of cool. And, one thing about our education system. And I think our education system is So, anyway, they decide to go travel around capturing, like Pokemon, historical figures. By the way, why has no one made a Bill and Ted video game like that? So they beat Billy the Kid, and then Billy the Kid and them go on and play a card game, which ends up having them escape, and then they travel into they travel and pick up Socrates of all people, and Socrates just goes with it. Then they travel to the medieval period and meet what they call are the princesses, which are these beautiful babes that they see in the medieval time. They decide to put on a suit of armor and act like morons, which gets a funny little moment. Then we get the fun of them wanting to hook up with the medieval babes. And the medieval babes want to hook up with them because they don't want to marry these ugly old men. So they end up getting captured and we're about to be executed when Billy the Kid and Socrates, I'm going to have a hard time saying that. They decide to help them and save the day, and they escape, which leads to them traveling where they were just going to go back in time, but then they realize that the time machine's kind of fucked up. So they start traveling all over the universe. They go into the future. They go into, they end up picking up Sigmund Freud, Genghis Khan, Joan of Arc, all the people that the teacher was talking about in their historical conversations. Meanwhile, now that Napoleon's in the future, he's acting like a complete asshole. And then he ends up at a water slide. So, while these guys are trying to find their way back to the normal time period, they end up leaving all these people, all these historical figures in a mall in San Dimas. I don't know what San Dimas was like, but like that mall, that is asking for trouble. And so these historical figures get into some shenanigans, and boy do they get into some shenanigans. It's kind of fun because they go right into this craziness between the characters, and meanwhile they're looking for Napoleon. Napoleon goes to a water park and he has a blast and has an absolute fun time. And then they find out that unfortunately all the heroes, all their historical figures have been arrested because of the shenanigans in this place. So Bill, who's been this entire time worried about going to military school, he has to confront his dad, who's a detective of the police in this small town. They free the heroes and do one of the greatest book reports in human history, which, by the way, to this day, I don't know why no kid or no teenager has decided to do a history report like this. I mean, if you pulled this off, I mean, a bunch of drama kids doing this, I can't see why they wouldn't. I guess no one has that much go-getterness to pull this off. I mean, you'd make history doing it. not the time, you don't need time travel people from the past, but you know, you get some people together, you do stuff, you set it all up. There you go. You have some fun. But anyway, they end up with the heroes end up having get themselves the perfect test plus A plus, and then they do absolutely nothing for a bit and kind of like, well, what do we do now? And Rufus shows up and gives them the princess babes, and they become part of the band. And so Rufus and them are about to play, and that's how the movie ends. With them just trying to learn, and then Rufus looking at the screen going, they get better. And that is fun right there. Like I said, this was going to be a shorter video just because I know how much fun I was going to have with it. The editing's going to be a bitch, but I knew how much fun this movie was. Now let's get to the final bit, the sci-fi and my final thoughts. I still can't believe I called that sci-fi. The visual effects. So the visual effects for this, I want to say sci-fi again. God damn it. The visual effects for this are equally good and awful. Like, the best way to put it is, this reminds me of a sci-fi TV show from back in the day. It has that look. It has that feel. The funny thing is, that's the amusing thing. This is actually a pretty big budget movie for what it was, and it really doesn't need all the extra visual effects in sci-fi. It's kind of all over the place. There's some good CG in the time travel bits, but that's about it. It's kind of mediocre in that way. So I guess we're heading up to the final thoughts. So this movie is, in a nutshell, the 80s. And I do believe this is the last gas. I know a lot of people say, oh no, this movie. No, this movie is quintessential 80s. And it's the very last movie. And even in the Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure, the sequel movie, that has a little bit more of a 90s feel, but it's kind of that 80s creeping in. Still a little bit here and there. It works for a movie, and it's one of the better movies out there. I enjoyed this movie. And I think the third movie kind of ruins the first two, but this works for me in a lot of ways. What am I going to rate this? Well, I can't deny that this has a nostalgia factor to me that's quite high. So I'm going to say, on a for the nostalgia numbers, this is a 7 movie for me. It's about a 5.9. It's almost a 6. It's just at that point of just being considered good, in my personal opinion. But what did you think? What did you think of this movie? And leave your comments, like, subscribe, and yeah, we're going to see you guys in the next Orc Warchief Reviews, where we do a final, we do the loser round, Strange Brew versus Wayne's World. I wonder who's going to win that one, and then we'll see where we go from there. All right, thank you very much, everybody, and have yourselves a very good day.